Today we talk about the transistor in electronic components. The transistor is a kind of electric current control component. Its letters are generally represented by Q or PQ on circuit diagram. It is divided into two categories. One is NPN, the other is PNP. Then the circuit symbol of NPN looks like this on the circuit diagram, CBE. As for PNP, it is also CBE. Change the arrow direction here. We call the C pole collector, the E pole is emitter, and the B pole is base or control pole. It has 3 poles. These two kinds of transistor have the same appearance and function. But not interchangeable due to the different principle. These 3 poles, this is collector, base, emitter. Its arrow is always on the E pole. You see that the arrow directions are different. The arrow is outward. This arrow is inward. We distinguish it by looking at this arrow on the drawing. The outward is NPN, the inward is PNP. The direction of arrow represents the direction of the current at work. Then the transistor is generally 3 pin on our actual motherboard. On the manual board, its appearance is generally 3 pin. And our independent pin is generally C pole, this is B pole, and this is E pole. Both NPN and PNP can find this appearance on the motherboard. It has the same appearance as the 3-pin MOSFET, but the working principle is different and it should not be confused. Let's wait a moment and find out how we can see it on the board. So this is our collector, this is the emitter, this is a base. When working, it is through the current of E pole. To control the input and output relationship between C pole and E pole. The current of NPN transistor is from C pole input and E pole output. And the PNP transistor is from E pole input and C pole output. This means that the two transistors cannot be exchanged like this when we are changing. That is reason. Then let's identify what the transistor looks like on the drawing. Let's look at the first type of the transistor, NPN transistor. You can see that the arrow of the NPN transistor. The arrow is already on the E pole. This is the E pole, this is the C pole, this is the B pole. When it works, it controls the conduction of the transistor through the current of the B pole. When it is grounded, the C pole flows to the E pole. This is an NPN transistor. It has 3 poles. Look at this arrow to distinguish NPN and PNP. This is the first type. Let's take a look at the PNP transistor later. Let's look at the second type of transistor, the PNP transistor. You can see that its arrow is inward. This is the E pole, this is the B pole, this is the C pole. When it is working, the current of the B pole controls its channel turn on or not. It is a E pole comes in and goes out from the C pole. This is the second type of transistor, PNP. Then we go to the board to find our transistor. So let's talk about how this transistor measures in the circuit. First of all, the transistor is fixed. No matter what lattice it is, it will not change. The lower left corner pin is the B pole, the upper independent pin is the C pole, and the lower right corner pin is the E pole. This is fixed and will not change no matter what the lattice is. So how is the judgment of the quality of the transistor measured here? The multimeter reaches the dial gear. If it is NPN, put a red test lead on the B pole and don't move. This is the C pole, this is E pole, and this is an NPN transistor. Put the red test lead on the B pole and put the black test lead on these two ends. There are 2 values. Here's about 300 to 800. E pole is also around 300 to 800. If 2 values can be measured, it means that the NPN is good. If it is PNP, it is flip. NPN is the opposite. C, B, E pole. At this time, we put the black test lead on the B pole and the red test lead on both ends of the C pole and E pole. 2 values can be measured, and the C pole is also around 300 to 800. And the E pole is also around 300 to 800. If it can be detected during maintenance, this kind of transistor is already damaged. We need to find the same transistor to install it. This is a measurement of the quality of the 2 transistors. So what role does the transistor play in the circuit during actual maintenance? There are 2 main functions. One is switch and the other is amplify. And we are all used as switches on the Mac circuit. The amplifier circuit does not exist on our circuit board. Let's focus on the switch function. Regardless whether it is NPN or PNP, the C pole and E pole are controlled by the voltage of the B pole. Why can NPN and PNP be interchanged? The direction of the current is one. The direction of the current is different. The second reason is the control voltage requirements of the B pole are different. For NPN, the voltage of B pole is need to be higher than the voltage of E pole 0.7 volt or more, so that it can work normally. For PNP, the voltage of B pole is need to be lower than the voltage of E pole 0.7 volt or more, so that it can work normally. This is essential reason why the two types of transistor cannot be interchanged. The above is the explanation of transistor. So let's talk about another chip, which is also a special chip called an operational amplifier. Generally speaking, it is an amplifier that amplifies the signal. Well, it usually has 8 pins. It's usually 8 pins. This model are generally on the Mac laptop. LN324, LN35A, LN393, these models are more common. Its symbol is like this in the circuit diagram. One positive, one negative, one out, one potential wire to one ground wire. Out is the output, positive the forward input terminal, negative the reverse input terminal. 2 input ports. Then when it works, the forward input voltage is compared with the reverse input voltage. To determine the output voltage, that is to compare the two voltages in the forward and reverse direction to determine the output voltage. So it is also called comparative amplifier. So how does it compare here? When V plus is greater than V minus, its power supply will be output here. Volt is in high level state. When the positive pole is greater than the negative pole voltage, its output is high and the power supply is here. If volt positive is less than volt negative, the volt is grounded. Grounding is close to 0 volt, low level state. If volt positive is equal to volt negative, there is no such situation. This situation will not occur. Unless the circuit is broken, there is a problem with the operational amplifier. This must be clear. When encountering this kind of triangle, the positive and negative ones are called operational amplifiers or comparators. So the maintenance is also very important. Do you understand this knowledge point you need to know? Let's take a look at this one with the minus sign. It's called the inverted input. Take a look at this plus sign. It is called the positive input. Here is the reverse input. When the positive voltage is greater than the negative voltage, its power supply will pass, which is higher level. When the voltage of the positive pole is less than the negative pole, it outputs a low level to the ground. In the future, we will see this kind of chip with triangle with plus and minus signs. What we call it an arithmetic chip. It is also relatively easy to break. Of course, before charging, first measure whether the power supply has 5-volt power supply. If the 5-volt power supply is not normal, it will not work either. The power supply situation depends on the drawing. Most of the time it is 5 volts and some are 12 volts. This chip is very simple and the lesson is over.